Hey guys, it's Benedictines the vegan, but that might change soon. Um, Created a poll where I asked people to vote between the name Benedictines the vegan and Benedictines the truth, and most people are voting for Benedictines the truth. So if you don't want my name to change, go and check my post and vote for the name Benedictines the vegan. Again, today I'm going to be reacting to a video titled Jordan Peterson Antinatalism Mode. It seemed to be some clips where Jordan Peterson is saying something that an internatalist might agree with, put together. I don't know how many clips are on this video. I haven't watched the rest of it, but I think I might have only watched like maybe the first 30 seconds of the video, and I liked it. It was posted on the Lee's Folks Gamer channel. I think this person is an internatalist. I might be wrong, but I think this person is an internatalist. So let's see what Jordan Peterson is saying. But oh, wait, before we see what Jordan Peterson is saying, let me say something about Jordan Peterson. You know, what I've realized about Jordan Peterson is that the guy is really smart, like really, really smart. I know that most people who don't agree with him think that he's down. No, he isn't. You know what the problem is with Jordan Peterson is that his conclusions are usually wrong. You see, he's able to understand things and he's able to break things down, but he makes wrong conclusions. Now, that's like if I went to Joburg and someone told me that, yo, man, listen, don't hold your phone when you are walking in the street of Joburg. They're going to rob you. But then that person walk in the street of Joburg holding two phones. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you understand that you can get robbed. You are able to explain to other people, yo man, yeah, you can grow, but then still, like, he's a hypocrite. Let me put it that way. He's a hypocrite. That's something that I've realized about him. He's so good at breaking things down, bro. He's so good at, understanding things that a lot of people do not understand. That's what I like about him, but he makes wrong conclusions almost all the time, and that's what's crazy. That's why some people believe that he's not who he says he is. Like, there are people that are actually telling him to say some of the things that he say, because he's an intelligent guy. You'd see that he's an intelligent guy. Let's watch this video.
Life is suffering. Right. Indisputable.
I like the fact that he says it's indisputable. Like, that is the truth. Life is suffering, He doesn't even know what to say after. Like, that is the truth. There's no debating that. You can try. You just can't. Like, that's a final statement.
Mephistopheles says, well, look at the world. I mean, you look around the world, it's nothing but a bloodbath. It's just suffering everywhere. Everything eats everything, and people die terribly, and they're cruel to one another, and the whole mess is nothing but a constant haul of terrible carnage and ruin and wreck. He says it would be better if it was never existed at all. And that's a very, very interesting idea. And I do believe, and I've seen this in people many times, that in the depths of despair, especially when you've been betrayed, for example, and you wander into the wrong subdivision of the underworld, that's something that comes to mind. If you have a very sick child, for example, or maybe your whole family is suffering, as whole families do sometimes, an idea is going to come to you. It's like, good God, who put this mess together? And is it really worth it? Is it really worth the suffering?
Well, here's the thing, though. It's right when you say, yeah, when you're going through tough times, it's you might start to ask yourself, who created this? Like, who put this merge together? Because it doesn't make any sense. You know, it's a crazy world that we live in. Everything, it's everything, and that is the truth. Everything, it's everything. You know, I can imagine before having a child, if it was possible to interview them before, you know, having them, and you ask them, yo man, do you want to like live in a world where you can get eaten by animals? You know, do you want to live in a world where you have to constantly be competing, where you constantly have to be chasing money? And like, what? I wonder what they would say, you know, because it's a crazy world. Like the fact that you can get eaten by an animal, that fact alone should make you think twice. Like, nah, that's sometimes not right. You know what I mean? This isn't something that you should think only when you're going through tough times. This is something that should be on your mind 24/7. Like, yeah, I live in a world where these things really do happen. You know, I live in a world where there are wars. You know what I mean? Like, people really do get killed. It's not like, you know, that only happens in a movie. You know, the shit happens in real life. Children do get killed. You know, they do get bombed. You know what I mean? Animals eat each other. Animals eat humans. Humans eat humans. You know what I mean? Like, this is how things are. So yeah, you should ask yourself, who put this shit together? Because it doesn't make any sense. It's like a psycho put this shit together, you know?
Suicidal people, you know, they say no. They say, no, enough of this. You know, and you have to be pushed a long way, generally speaking, before you'll actually commit suicide. You have to be in very, very desperate straits. But your answer under those conditions is that being is such that it would be better if it had never been. So anyways, but in this, God says that it was good. And I've thought about that a lot. It's like, because the question is something like, well, is something better than nothing? Because that's a really good question. No matter
yeah, it is
how,
really
it doesn't matter
question.
how perfect the...
Is something better than nothing? This is really a good question. But I think the best way to answer this question is, especially when it comes to life, like if we were to just compare life to non-existence, is asking ourselves, is hell better than nothing? I think that's a better way to phrase the question. Is hell better than nothing? Meaning that if there was a place where people are getting burned and they do not die, he's just getting burned forever, is that better than nothing?
The environment is set up. Something that doesn't fit is going to make its way inside. It's one of the oldest stories of mankind. And you see, the thing that makes itself manifest inside in the Genesis story is a snake. Now that snake turns out to be Satan, which is like, how the hell does that happen? It's a snake. Like, where does that come from? It's not actually in the biblical writings to any degree. It's part of the surrounding mythology. Well, it's partly because people started to figure out that the worst snake wasn't a snake. The worst snake was the snake that was inside a person, because a malevolent person is way more of a threat than just a snake. Like, a snake wants to bite you and it wants to eat you and all of that, and they were hell on our extremely primordial ancestors. But the human race has been trying to figure out where the threat is forever. Well, first of all, it was external, right? It was all external. It was the snake, it was the barbarian. But then it got localized to some degree inside the individual. It's like, that's a bad person. That person has a snake in them. And then the idea kind of came out, this is so cool, the idea is that, well, the snake that's inside bad person A and the snake that's inside bad person B is somehow the same. So that's where the idea of an articulated morality starts to come from, is there's an equivalence of evil across individuals. So then the idea of evil itself starts to become abstracted at the same time that the idea of good does. Well, evil gets associated with Satan, and Satan gets associated with the snake. It's mind-boggling. I mean, these are how these... See, we were chimps, for Christ's sake. So in the Garden of Eden, there's Adam and Eve, right? The primordial human beings. And there's a
relates to antinatalism. But yeah, man, every person is evil. You see, one of the worst things that we do to each other is actually punish each other for evil. I know this sounds bad, like, why shouldn't people be punished for evil? What we do not realize is that we can behave in such a way that brings out the worst in other people. Like, that can happen. Like, if you're going to create a capitalist society where some people have like lots of money, some people have nothing, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to do illegal things to make money, because you know you don't want people, like, if you have money, you don't want other people to have money. You know, you want to be above everyone, you want to be worshipped. So what should they do to have money? You're going to be actually doing things that are going to make it hard for them to make money, because you have power, right? So what should they do? Of course they will have to do illegal things. But also, we want things, like, we have desires. You know, every human being has desires. What do you do if your desires are not met? What do you do if you're not happy? What do you do when you are angry, when you're depressed? What do you do if you have a mental illness? You know, like, we judge people a lot. Like, okay, you did this, and because of this, what you did, you deserve to be punished. Well, maybe if you experience life the same way that that person experienced life, and you had their weaknesses, you would have done the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're being punished for being what we are, what life taught us to be. Do you see the problem? That's why I keep on saying that we should abolish prisons. Like, I don't believe we should have prisons. What the fuck would we having prisons for? You know? Can you imagine we bring children into this world and they don't really fit in, you know, they break the rules, and we put them in cages and torture them. Like, that's evil, bruh. Like, that's, and it comes from ignorance, you know. We're so fucking ignorant that we don't see shit as it is. So fucking ignorant, man. That's what I hate about people. People are so fucking ignorant. You know, they don't see the truth. They only see what they need to see to survive. You see the problem? I need to see a thief as an evil person in order to survive. Because if I don't see a thief as an evil person, if I don't see their truth, then I might actually understand them. And that's dangerous. You know, because if I understand them, maybe I want them thrown in prison, and they might come back to hurt me, you know. But really, man, we all have a story, you know. We are what life taught us to be. So if you see a person doing something that's fucked up, it has to do with the things that happen in their life. It has to do with how they see life, you know. It has to do with their limited understanding, or their understanding, you know, like, they can understand too much and do things that you don't even understand because they understand too much. But we shouldn't be punishing people for anything. Because the way that we punish people for being bad is the same way that we punish people for not being good looking, for an example. Like, if someone is ugly, we punish them for that. It's the same way. Believe it or not, it's actually the same way. Like, the part of our brain that makes us feel like we must punish people for being bad is the same part of our brains that make us feel like we must mistreat people for not looking, you know, good enough. You know what I mean? The same part of our brains. We're animals. It's just that, you know, humans take themselves way too seriously, but the truth is that we are animals, man.
A walled garden, that's paradise. Paradise means walled garden, and Eden means well-watered place. And so there's this idea that the proper habitat of human beings is an amalgam of social structure and nature. And that's exactly right, because that's what we live in, right? We never live in nature, and we never live in society. We live in an amalgam of society and nature. That's the human environment, so it's a walled garden. A better conceptualization of predator might be Where does it come from? Let's say it's a snake. Well, there's a layer of snakes somewhere. And so if we want to get rid of the snake, we shouldn't be conceptualizing it as a snake. We should be conceptualizing it as one manifestation of a layer of snakes, and what we should do is go down, follow the damn snake wherever it goes, and find its lair and wipe out all of the snakes. And that's a more abstract representation, right? It's not predator anymore. It's the source of predation. And so if you want to solve the predator problem permanently, you don't kill the snake. You get rid of all the snakes. But then you might think, okay, well, the worst predator is the lair of snakes, right? But then you might think, well, wait a minute. The worst predator isn't the lair of snakes. Maybe the worst predator is the enemies that come to attack us. And those are human enemies. That evil can manifest itself inside. So there's criminals inside the city. And there's people who want to bring you down. And there's malevolence within the city, not only outside. So then there's the problem of the snake that's closer to you. And then there's the ultimate problem, which is the snake that lives in your heart. Right? And that's each individual's capacity for evil. And then that was conceptualized as a transcendent spirit. Right? So that's the spirit of Satan, who's, if you're a mother, and if you're a mother who's worth her salt.
It's so funny how Peterson explains things, but like he'll explain something very simple, you know, in a way that's very complicated. You think he's about to say something so deep. Like, what? Something very simple, something very basic. But yeah, man, really, if we think that some people are evil, and if they are evil, we should get rid of them. What if they think we're evil and they think they should get rid of us? What if we are all evil? What if every earthling is evil? What should we do? Wouldn't it be better if we stopped creating evil? We don't necessarily get rid of evil, we just stop creating it. And what is the better way to stop creating evil? It's by making sure that whatever is causing evil doesn't exist. So if we stop procreating, then there won't be evil in the world, because we would have stopped something that's causing evil. The problem now becomes, what about the animals? And that's when atheism starts making sense. Because animals are going to procreate. They're not like humans. They don't like think as deeply as we do. They will continue to procreate because they're not conscious. And this should tell you something. This should tell you that the more conscious you become, the harder it's going to be for you to tolerate this world. You see, the more conscious you become, like the more woke you become. That is why animals tolerate this world, and it makes sense to them. They seem happy. And that is why the dumbest people are happy, you know? It's like the people that are really conscious, the people that are seeing a lot of things that are going on, just can't stay in this world, you know, because they're seeing too much. This reminds me of the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. So this lady created technology that can make you go to different universes. And she made a daughter go to different universes, and the daughter became a nihilist. The daughter was cool before she had to experience everything, but after experiencing everything, she became a nihilist, and she wanted to destroy everything. You know, she just realized that nah, it's all meaningless. Like, there's no point, you know.
offer your son to be destroyed by the world, that's what you do. And that's what's going to happen, right? He's going to be born, he's going to suffer, he's going to have his trouble in life, he's going to have his illnesses, he's going to face his failures and catastrophes, and he's going to die. That's what's going to happen. This is also, I think, why it's so useful to contemplate your...
That's the truth, man. So, what the fuck are we creating these new humans for? It's not like, when they are causing suffering, they will actually, like, be happy, you know? Like, if they cause suffering, they're gonna be happy. It's not like that makes them happy. They're gonna cause suffering while they're miserable as well. You know, they will be suffering as well while they're causing suffering. So why do we conclude that creating more humans is a good idea? Makes zero sense.
Mortality, so to speak, is you're screwed no matter what you do. You know, and that actually frees you, is that...
I like what he said. You're screwed no matter what you do, and that's the truth. You are.
You have path A that has catastrophes, and you have path B that has catastrophes, and you don't get to have the no catastrophe path, but you get to pick which one.
I can tell. No, that's true. I was talking to someone about a friend of mine that's in prison. I was like, my friend like really suffered a lot. I was like, you know what? Sometimes life can put you in a situation where being in jail isn't that bad. Yeah, life is much worse outside. You have to work. Like, my friend was broke. My friend was poor, bro. And he was going through a lot. Like, he had a lot of things that were going on in his life. I ended up fighting with someone and stabbing him, and then got arrested. But sometimes it gets to a point where people just have to choose their suffering. Like, you can be in a situation where there isn't anything that you can do that is actually good, because you're not in a good situation. So it's either you choose to suffer by doing nothing, or choose to suffer by doing something that's gonna have bad consequences.
Of the story about that Dostoevsky took from the newspapers about this family, mother and father, they were angry at their 4-year-old daughter, and they locked her in an outhouse overnight, and she was screaming out there, and she froze to death. You know, it was news in Moscow. And Ivan basically says to Alyosha, it's like, you know, who's making a case for the goodness of being, or the goodness of God, depending on how you want to look at it. And Ivan says, how the hell can you bother, how can you even dare to make an argument like that? It's like, this is the sort of thing that happens in the world all the time. And then he asks Alyosha, look, would you be willing voluntarily to torture that girl to death to ensure that things would continue? And Alyosha says, well, no, I wouldn't do it. And Ivan says, well, I know you wouldn't do it. So it's like, what's your conclusion about that? Being shouldn't exist. And then Goethe asks the same question in Faust. He has a character in that named Mephistopheles.
Okay, I don't understand what that is saying. But it really surprises me that someone as intelligent as him, someone who's able to see when people are suffering and what causes suffering, things that we should be procreating. He gets it. He understands what's going on in the world, you know. But he keeps on saying that people should be procreating. That's why I'm telling you that I believe there's someone that's telling him to encourage people to procreate. Same with Elon. I think Elon is smart. You know, people say he's dumb because of some of the conclusions that he's making. Like, nah, man, dude is really smart. And I'm not saying he's smart because of what he's been able to achieve, but I'm saying he's smart because he reasons. You know what I mean? Like, the things that he say when he's being interviewed, like, yeah, He doesn't like really say dumb shit. So sometimes, it seems like, no, these people are just they are puppets. Someone is telling them, oh, say this. Someone is telling them, push this agenda. If someone told me to push an agenda, let's say I became famous and someone told me to push a certain agenda that contradicts my message, you'll be able to see that easily. You're like, what the fuck? So Benedict Tanks is saying this and that, but he's pushing this. Like, no, something's wrong. Someone is paying him to push this agenda. He's not pushing this agenda because that's what he really believes in. He's getting paid to push this agenda. But he has to push this agenda as if it's his agenda. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's happening with guys like Jordan and Elon. I don't think they really believe that we must be procreating like we're crazy, like we just some animals. We're conscious, bro. We are conscious. We need to be questioning everything. And if something doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Not everything makes sense. We're able to reason. And I would say that's a gift. It's a gift and a curse. Because you're going to understand things that, are going to be hard for you to accept. That, you're going to understand certain truths that are going to be hard for you to, accept. So, you're going to, feel angry, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to feel sad because of what you understand. And people who don't understand what you understand are going to, feel good, because they're just dumb, But I do fully believe that it is better to be conscious so that we make the right decisions, even if that makes life a bit harder, Thank you all, guys.